Brian Shaffer walked into a bar, and then, just like that, he was gone. No goodbyes, no struggle, no trace. One moment, he was celebrating the start of spring break, laughing, drinking, looking forward to a vacation with his girlfriend. And then, he vanished. No one saw him leave. There were no security camera recordings of his exit. It was as if the earth just swallowed him whole. But months later, something terrifying happened. His phone rang, not once, not twice, multiple times. But Brian wasn't calling, so who was? And why did his phone ping miles away from where he disappeared? It's been almost 2 decades, and we are no closer to the truth. What really happened to Brian Shaffer? And more importantly, was he ever really gone? It all started on March 31st, 2006. Brian was a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University. He had big dreams. He wanted to be a doctor, a healer, a man who saved lives. But beneath the surface, there was pain. Just weeks earlier, Brian had suffered a devastating loss. His mother passed away from cancer. She was his rock, his biggest supporter, and now she was gone. But Brian, he was holding it together. Or, at least, that's what everyone thought. That night, Brian decided to go out. Have some fun. Forget his pain. It was Friday night, the start of spring break, and what better way to celebrate than drinks with friends? At 9 p.m., Brian met up with his best friend, Clint Florence. They started at a local bar, drinking, laughing, enjoying the night. Then, around midnight, they bar hopped to a few different places before ending up at the Ugly Tuna Saloona. It was 1:15 a.m. when Brian was last seen entering the bar, and that was the last confirmed sighting of him. Inside the bar, Brian and Clint met up with another friend, Meredith Reed. More drinks, more laughs. It was just another normal night. But something strange happened around 1:55 a.m. Brian stepped away from the group. Where was he going? The bathroom? Outside for air? No one knows, because he never came back. At 2 a.m., the bar closed. Clint and Meredith waited outside, assuming Brian would meet them. But Brian never walked out. They called his phone. No answer. They searched the crowd. Nothing. Eventually, they left, thinking Brian had just gone home. But by morning, panic set in. The next day, his girlfriend, Alexis, tried calling. No answer. She sent text after text. Still, nothing. Brian had been so excited for their upcoming trip to Miami. He was supposed to catch a flight on Monday morning. But when Monday came, he never showed up. And that's when the real nightmare began. His family filed a missing persons report, and the search for Brian Shaffer officially started. Police immediately turned to security footage. They checked every nearby camera, hoping to see where Brian had gone. And here's where the case takes a chilling turn. The cameras captured Brian entering the bar at 1:15 a.m., but there is no footage of him ever leaving. Not through the front door, not through the back, nowhere. So how does a fully grown man just vanish? This case makes no sense. There were only 2 ways out of the bar. One, the front entrance, which had a camera directly facing it. The second, a back exit that led to a dangerous construction site. If Brian had left through the front, the cameras would have caught it. If he left through the back, he would have had to climb over fences, avoid debris, and somehow navigate through a pitch-black construction zone. But here's the thing. There was no evidence of Brian leaving either way. So the question is, did he ever leave at all? For months, there were no answers. Brian was just gone. No activity on his bank account, no use of his credit cards, no sightings. But then, in September 2006, something terrifying happened. Brian's girlfriend Alexis called his phone, and instead of going straight to voicemail, it rang. It rang. It kept ringing. And then, suddenly, it stopped. No one answered. No one called. Back But then police discovered something even more disturbing. Brian's phone pinged off a cell tower in Hilliard, Ohio. That's 14 miles away from where he disappeared. His phone should have been dead. So, what happened? Some believe Brian chose to disappear, that he was overwhelmed with grief over his mother's death, that he walked away from his life and started over. But let's think about that. Would he really abandon his father, his girlfriend, his entire future, with no money, no car, no plan? And if he wanted to disappear, how did he leave the bar? Another theory is that Brian met with foul play. One of the last people to see Brian that night was his best friend, Clint Florence. And when police asked Clint to take a polygraph test, he refused, not once, not twice, multiple times. Why? Was he hiding something, or did he know more than he was telling? Some believe Brian never left the bar because he never made it out alive. That night, behind the bar, there was an active construction site, deep holes, open trenches, dangerous debris. What if Brian stumbled into the site and fell? What if, without realizing it, he was buried under rubble as construction continued? Could it be possible that Brian Shaffer is still there, buried beneath the very ground people walk on every day? To this day, Brian Shaffer is still missing. No body, no closure, no final words. Just a phone that rang and then went silent. So, I ask you, what do you think happened to Brian Shaffer? Did he disappear on his own? Was he murdered? Or is his body hidden in plain sight? Tell me your theory in the comments. And if you love true crime and unsolved mysteries, hit follow, because sometimes the truth is even stranger than fiction.